By the end of the 18th century, the Illuminati seemed to have completely disappeared everywhere. But the Illuminati was not really gone any more than the secret societies that preceded them. They just went underground and added one more item to their list of dark goals: infiltrate and bring down the Catholic religion. When we look around the world today, what do we see of the secret societies? Masonic chapters exist in the open all around the globe as a mainstream organization. The Order of Knights Templar today exists as the top-ranking Masonic organization in the York Rite of Freemasonry. What goes on inside Masonic halls is still relatively secret. Probably known only to their upper echelon members are the dark rituals, goals, and the vendetta against the Catholic Church. The Masons and Templars have very effectively integrated themselves into the world's most respected societies. To a lesser degree, the assassins have appeared publicly periodically throughout history. In the early 1800s, they were visible in India as they came under the direction of the Aga Khan, who they believed possessed divine powers. In the latter 1800s, the Aga Khan brought them to Afghanistan, where they developed a lasting relationship with the British. Later, the Aga Khan's descendants further infiltrated Western culture. One prominent example was when Prince Ali Aga Khan, grandson of Aga Khan II, married American actress Rita Hayworth. Are the assassins, as a secret murderous order, now a thing of the past? The bloodshed occurring today at the hands of Islamic extremists would say the assassins are alive and well. The Priory of Zion also continues to this day. In fact, it has been reported that a number of illustrious figures in history have served as the Priory's Grand Masters, and there is corroborating evidence. In 1975, a discovery was made in a Parisian library. Parchments were found called Le Dossier Le Carré. These documents indeed reveal that some of the secret members were Leonardo da Vinci, Victor Hugo, and Sir Isaac Newton. The Priory has been credited by some with the creation of the European Union. Former President of France, François Mitterrand, was believed to be a member of the Priory, and many other powerful people. As for the Merovingian bloodline the Zions were pledged to protect, it continues on. Through incestuous intermarriage, most of the royal families of Europe can claim Merovingian descent. And it is said that from these royal families have come all 44 of the United States presidents. These connections around the world through the Priory of Zion provided the Illuminati with the means to influence politics and power around the globe. But what about the most secret society of them all? Adam Weishaupt's Illuminati, the brotherhood that vowed to bring all the other secret societies together to control the world. Is it still actively pursuing its diabolical plan of world domination? Indeed, shocking new facts that we have uncovered reveal that it is stronger than ever today. Studying a top-secret society is much like studying the currents of a lake. The ripples on the surface give us clues to know what is going on in the darkness below. The Illuminati's grand plan required that it infiltrate the governments of all countries around the world. In our extensive investigation, we focused on just one target, the former Soviet Union, to see how it was manipulated by the Illuminati. An effective way to gain control of a government would be to penetrate its intelligence structures. Newly released information from the files of the KGB provides some unprecedented insight. Now that the Cold War is over, some highly classified information is being smuggled out of carefully guarded vaults in what used to be the Soviet Union. With the change to a market economy here, many items never before available to Russians are finding their way to the black market. They say that everything is for sale in the new Russia, including state secrets and the spies who kept them. After the collapse of the Soviet Union came the dissolving of the KGB. The new government formed its own new security and intelligence agencies, employing many of the old KGB personnel, but leaving many without jobs. Even those with employment were often not paid as promised. We found that many former KGB employees were eager to give first-hand accounts of their classified activities within the agency for the right price. However, when the subject of the Illuminati was introduced, no amount of money could induce anyone to talk about it. We took this as a definite sign that we were on the right track and getting dangerously close to uncovering the presence of the secret brotherhood within the KGB. The former KGB employees were willing to direct us to black market sources where we might obtain further information, but at our own peril. Though most leads proved to be ultimately unproductive, we found that with perseverance, money and a bit of luck, it is possible to acquire classified Soviet documents. Using a hidden camera, we recorded numerous meetings over a period of months in which we attempted to obtain relevant materials. This transaction between one of our Moscow contacts and black market dealers proved to be one of the more successful ventures, though as you'll see, not without a few tense moments.
I'm talking, we need more money, okay? But we can get, okay, let's do that. Like, give us 5,000 and that's okay, and the rest you can give, like, tomorrow, the next day, like, whatever. 5,000 is a deal, that's it, I can't do that. This is that was all I have. Okay, so we'll take 200 dollars. Hey, run up!
Finally safe from the black market dealers, within some of these documents we found corroboration for the most valuable piece of information related to us by the ex-KGB agents. Just as we had been told, indeed, the KGB carefully recorded their activities in documents, films and tapes. And these were kept in storage in a holding facility beneath the KGB headquarters under the highest security. These were probably the most sensitive records possessed by the agency, for they would illuminate in graphic detail the most intimate activities of the KGB and possibly the connection to the Illuminati. The documents we purchased from the black market dealers represented a major breakthrough. They not only confirmed that more revealing KGB materials existed, they also told us where they were kept. Again, we went to our black market sources, now armed with this new knowledge. We believe that with the demise of the KGB, most of the safeguards protecting its records would be gone. Someone out there must have the knowledge and access to be able to supply them to us for a price. Over the course of the next 5 months, we employed our sources to try to obtain specifically these top-secret records of the KGB. This transaction between one of our Moscow contacts, an interpreter, and a local black market dealer yielded astonishing results. The location of this meeting is a textile factory in the Zakorniki district of Moscow. This is the office of the Russian entrepreneur who owns the plant and uses it for both legitimate and illegal business. After introductions and some initial small talk, the dealer is asked whether the KGB materials are on the premises. From a safe, documents are produced that relate to the films and tapes the dealer has promised to deliver. After an inspection of the documents and a cursory verification of their authenticity, the transaction is completed.
Okay, well, thank you. Спасибо.
Пожалуйста.
Nice to meet you.
Дмитрий Сергеевич, спасибо за вашу работу.
Money changes hands, and the tense group is led to another office where the films and tapes are said to be stored. And finally, the graphic films, tapes, and documents we've heard about surfaced. In a startling revelation within the classified documents we obtain, we find proof that the Illuminati infiltrated the Soviet Union and the KGB. These communiques between two high-level KGB agents actually refer to the original illuminated one, Adam Weishaupt, by name. They go on to allude to a connection with two past rulers of Russia, Joseph Stalin and Nikita Khrushchev. Our mission to place agents within the walls of the Vatican is a goal that the founder Weishaupt talked about 200 years ago. It is something that has been attempted through the years by both Stalin and Khrushchev with no success, but I believe we can finally do it this time. What's more, in the lab our investigators made an alarming discovery. A magnified view reveals that an unnoticeable dot, the period at the end of the final sentence on the page, is actually a seal. It is the unfinished pyramid with an iron triangle above it. The official insignia of the Illuminati, a marking used by the secret society since its creation in 1776. The KGB was determined to infiltrate the Vatican. Why would this, of all places, be of such critical interest to the Russians? The answer is simple. The Russians would have no interest in the Vatican, but the Illuminati would. Not only would it further the vendetta against the Catholics, but it would be important for the greater purpose of gaining control of the world. The Vatican may be the most powerful force on the planet for influencing people. Policies dictated by the Vatican affect 1 billion people spread across the globe on every continent, in comparison to less than 300 million under the direct influence of the US or the former USSR. Reigning at the top of this vast empire of followers is one man, the Pope, whose words and wishes are considered by his followers to have divine inspiration. No other person on earth has such extraordinary power and influence. The Illuminati would have a great interest in exerting whatever influence they could on the Pope and his advisors. The KGB had a staff of agents permanently assigned to Rome. But the Vatican City exists as a very closed world, an officially recognized independent state with its own government. In effect, it is a sovereign state existing within the city of Rome. Surveillance of it from the outside is very incomplete. From more secret KGB documents we have obtained, we learn that in 1972 the Illuminati, using the people they had in the KGB, formulated a bold plan to position one of their people within the walls of the Vatican. Again, the period at the end of the final sentence on the document is actually the miniature pyramid and eye, the official insignia of the Illuminati. At last, the secret brotherhood could begin to control the Catholic Church from the inside. An agent was sent to the Vatican posing as a Ukrainian priest, driven from his country by the communists for anti-communist rhetoric. He was quickly accepted by the pro-American Vatican clergy. After only a few months, he achieved his primary objective, gaining the confidence of the office of Cardinal Vilo, the Secretary of State of Pope Paul VI. In this exclusive KGB film footage we obtained, on the right is the agent posing as a priest. On the left is the chief assistant to Cardinal Vilo.
Devo tornare all'ufficio, devo fare cose lì e tutto il resto.
Ok, spero che...
Ecco che arriva. Buongiorno.
The third man is actually another KGB agent, no doubt placed in the organization by the Illuminati. He's also seeking to gain access to the Cardinal.
Sì, questo va bene. Bene, molto bene. Bravo, sta ufficio.
Abbiamo la sua
Sì. Bene.
chiediamo molta considerazione di questo. Sappiamo quanto importante è per noi.
When Vilo's assistant is sent on his customary monthly trip to Milan, the KGB installs a camera in his hotel room. In typical KGB fashion, the priest is about to be set up to be blackmailed to assure his continued cooperation. Over several days, a woman becomes friendly with him and gains his trust. The film shows that the trap was well set. One night, the woman comes to his room to take him to a dinner meeting. While he is briefly away pouring drinks, she takes off her blouse. The film ends abruptly. But no matter what the outcome of the encounter was, the brief shot of this priest with a half-dressed woman in his room is damaging enough to guarantee his future assistance in the surveillance of Vilo's activities. Certainly in the near future, the Illuminati-controlled KGB agents will begin looking for ways to manipulate Vilo himself. Once that is accomplished, they will be extremely close to the very heart of the Catholic religion, Pope Paul VI. But it appears that the Illuminati was not content with exerting only influence to control the Vatican. They sometimes resorted to murder. Since the founding of the Illuminati, a number of officials have died at the Vatican under highly suspicious circumstances, including 3 popes. In each case, the death of the official was timed so as to have a great political significance, the telltale mark of the secret brotherhood influencing world politics for their benefit. In 1939, Pope Pius XI was poised to release a statement condemning both the Nazis and the fascists, groups doing the kind of evil that the Illuminati would be behind. But before he could make the public statement, he suddenly died. A close assistant, Cardinal Tisserand, was heard to repeat again and again in French, "They have assassinated him! They have assassinated him!" His body was quickly embalmed, making an autopsy and proof of cause of death impossible. In 1978, it seemed the secret brotherhood might again be using murder to manipulate the papacy. Paul VI suddenly died. Admittedly, he was frail, but the sudden worsening of his condition seemed all too convenient to many observers. However, this time, the Illuminati architects got a result they probably were not expecting: a pope who would be at odds with them, John Paul I. Almost immediately after he took office, the new pope showed a great deal of independence. It seemed that John Paul had a special distaste corruption he had seen was rampant in the Vatican's finances. While he was the Cardinal of Venice, the Venetian Catholic Bank was sold in a secret deal to the Vatican Bank for a greatly undervalued amount. Profits reaped by a few were estimated at more than $70 million, but the losses to the Venetians were great. The clergy of Venice even lost their pension fund. Instrumental in the deal were bankers Roberto Calvi, his mentor Sindona, and the director of the Vatican Bank, Bishop Marcinkus. After John Paul became Pope, these three were still in charge of investing much of the Church's money. In his new position, the pontiff had the power to investigate them and publicly bring out the facts. Altogether, he was poised to uncover illegal dealings that involved almost $1 billion. This would be a serious blow to the Illuminati, who were certainly behind the criminal financial dealings. The danger to the Pope became shockingly clear one day at a private meeting between John Paul and a Russian Orthodox Archbishop, Nicodim. As the meeting began, coffee was poured. Nicodim took the first sip and almost immediately collapsed to the floor and died. His face was very contorted in a horrible and unnatural grimace, as if the death was very painful. The stunned Pope carefully put down his own cup before he sipped. Certainly it came to his mind that the coffee must have been laced with poison that was meant for him. The official doctor, however, quickly proclaimed that the Archbishop had died from what had become the standard cause for deaths at the Vatican, a massive coronary. All the facts surrounding the mysterious death of the Russian Archbishop Nicodim pointed toward an assassination attempt and a cover-up. The Russian's body was embalmed very quickly after his death, without a prior complete medical examination. After the embalming, it would be impossible to perform an accurate autopsy to determine the cause of death, particularly if it involved poison. Also, the coffee the Archbishop drank was never collected for analysis, and no forensic investigation was ever carried out. Although the proof was gone, to many it was clear that the Pope had narrowly escaped being murdered only 10 days after he was elected. The experience proved so frightening that John Paul called a secret meeting with his top 4 cardinals to discuss the situation. The meeting took place on September the 28th, 1978. Only the 4 cardinals and the Pope were in the room. To this day, it is not known exactly what was said, but afterwards, the Pope was moved to take action. He ended the term of Cardinal Vilo as Secretary of State. This was the same Cardinal Vilo whose assistant had been blackmailed in the KGB films taken in 1972. Over the 6 years, this cardinal must have also been drawn into the Illuminati's web. Removing him meant that the Pope had uncovered at least part of the dark secret. But even John Paul could not avoid his fate at the hands of the Illuminati. That night the pontiff retired earlier than usual and took with him detailed notes of the secret meeting to deliberate upon. At 5 a.m. the next morning, the Pope's closest attendant, Sister Vincenza, became concerned. His Holiness had never overslept before. She appeared inside his door. John Paul appeared to be sitting in bed with a light on as if he were reading. Various papers were around him. But to her horror, his face was frozen in the same agonized contortion she had seen on the face of the dead Russian Nicodim only days before. After only 33 days as Pope, John Paul was dead. After more than 200 years of protecting their secret ways, the Illuminati was very thorough at covering its tracks. Although the Pope had relieved him of his Secretary of State duties just hours before, Cardinal Vilo took charge. as the senior cardinal, he was now, in essence, the temporary pope. He first locked himself in the papal bedroom and collected prescription medicine from the bed table and most of the papers in the room, including notes of the secret meeting. Also taken were the candies the pontiff often enjoyed while reading, and even the Pope's reading glasses and slippers. All these items were never seen again. Next, Vilo sent Sister Vincenza away to a convent after forbidding her to tell anyone that she had found the pontiff dead and anything about what she saw. And then at 6:10 a.m. he ordered embalmers to be summoned. But the most shocking occurrence of all was that they arrived almost immediately. It was estimated that given the distance the embalmers had to travel, they must have been contacted at 4:45 a.m., 15 minutes before the time that the sister had discovered the Pope. At 7:30 a.m. a public announcement was issued. The cause of death was heart failure. Instead of Sister Vincenza, it was reported that the Pope's secretary, Monsignor Maggi, had found the body, and the time of discovery was changed to 5:30. By the time of the announcement, the embalmers had already done their work, just as in the all-too-similar death of the Russian Archbishop only 23 days before. Any possibility of 100% accurate autopsy was eliminated. If foul play was involved in the death of John Paul I, the chance to prove it was conclusively gone forever. Ten days after John Paul's funeral, Cardinal Vilo assembled the conclave to elect a successor. The official electing body includes 111 cardinals. Once sequestered in the Sistine Chapel, the cardinals must invoke the power of the Holy Ghost to guide them to their decision. But in truth, the principal candidates for Pope are not determined behind the closed doors of the conclave. These decisions are made in the elegant restaurants of Rome, where the most powerful cardinals meet for their dinners and lunches.